Northern Europe. Your skin is a solar panel. Your body is not a blank slate. Every piece of you, your skin, your gut, your immune system, was shaped by where your ancestors lived, what they ate, and what tried to kill them. 9 groups. 9 completely different survival problems. This is what your ancestry actually built. In Scandinavia and the British Isles, the sun disappears for months. Not just cloudy, gone. The people who survived had one trick: skin so pale it could pull energy from almost nothing. Your skin color comes from a pigment, your body's built-in sunscreen. More blocks sunlight, less lets it through. Sunlight triggers vitamin D production. Without it, bones soften, the immune system breaks down, the body stops working. In polar darkness, too much natural sunscreen meant death. Lighter skin won. These populations also developed the ability to drink milk as adults, unusual globally, but essential when cattle were the only year-round food source. Over 90% of Northern Europeans carry this ability today, and a special fat that burns energy as heat instead of storing it. A furnace running inside the body through brutal winters. The trade-off? Pale skin carries the highest skin cancer risk in Europe. Vitamin D crashes in modern office life. A metabolism built for scarcity now causes weight gain, where food never runs out. Evolution built this body for the dark. It didn't plan for desk jobs. Mediterranean. Your great-grandmother's kitchen outlasted every fad diet in history. Across Italy, Greece, and coastal Spain, people have been eating olive oil, fish, and vegetables for thousands of years. Scientists spent decades studying why, and what they found wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't just that the food was healthy. The food and the body evolved together. Olive oil contains a fat that protects blood vessels instead of clogging them. Populations eating it for generations developed changes in how the body processes this fat. Less artery damage, less inflammation, better heart health across a lifetime. The traditional diet and the body carrying it have been shaping each other for thousands of years, and that combination still shows measurable benefits today. Skin here hits a precise middle setting, gets darker in summer for protection, lightens in winter for vitamin D, and some Mediterranean populations developed a quirk in their red blood cells that makes them hostile to the malaria parasite. Because southern Europe was a malaria zone well into the 20th century, the parasite enters, can't survive, dies. The trade-off? Dairy digestion is lower here. This food culture never relied on it. Efficient fat storage drives weight gain when people stop moving. Iberian Peninsula. Europe froze. These people didn't. 12,000 years ago, most of Europe became uninhabitable. The people who made it through ended up in Spain and Portugal. When glaciers covered the north, people pushed south into the Iberian Peninsula, a safe zone where temperatures stayed livable. For thousands of years, they survived together, mixed together, and built one of the most genetically varied populations in all of Europe. When the ice melted, people spread back north. Many came from Iberian stock, one peninsula, restocked a continent. That variety acts as biological insurance. The more variation a population holds, the more options it has when something new hits: a disease, a drought, a food shortage. Later contact with North African populations added heat tolerance. Centuries of Atlantic fishing built strong processing of fats linked to heart health. The trade-off? Multiple ancestral lines mean people can inherit risk factors from more than one source at once. Indoor life hits vitamin D hard. The Ice Age ended 12,000 years ago. Its mark on Iberian DNA hasn't. Celtic regions. The iron trick that became a double edge. Ireland has had the same DNA advantage for over 1,000 years. For most of that time, it kept people alive. Now it's a medical condition. In Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany, diets were heavy in oats but light on red meat. Iron was scarce, and iron carries oxygen through the blood. Less iron means less energy, less endurance. A DNA change spread through Celtic populations that tells the gut to pull more iron from whatever you eat. Ireland still has the highest rate of this change in the world. Around 1 in 10 people carry it. For centuries, a genuine survival edge. The DNA behind red hair pushed vitamin D production even higher than standard Northern European genetics. In a country of near constant cloud cover, squeezing maximum vitamin D from minimal light was a real tool. Red hair marks a more efficient light-capturing system. The Great Famine of the 1840s killed or displaced roughly a quarter of Ireland's population. The biology alive in Ireland today wasn't random. The trade-off? Iron buildup slowly damages the liver, heart, and joints, requiring lifelong monitoring. And ultra-fair Celtic skin carries the highest skin cancer rate in Europe. Germanic/Central Europe, the mutation that came from catastrophe. 1 in 10 people in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland carry a biological shield in their cells right now. Most have no idea. A change in the DNA spread through Central Europe over several centuries. It closes a tiny doorway on immune cells, the exact doorway certain viruses use to break into the body. No doorway, no entry. For decades, scientists blamed the Black Death, which killed up to a third of Europe in the 1300s. But that theory has a problem. The plague hit Mediterranean populations hardest, and those populations have the lowest rates of this DNA change. More recent research points to repeated outbreaks, possibly smallpox, hitting Central Europe over several centuries. Scientists haven't settled it. What they agree on: something devastating swept through repeatedly. People with this change survived at higher rates, and it passed to every generation since. The catastrophe is still debated. What it left behind is not. The trade-off? Closing one cellular doorway affects how the immune system behaves elsewhere. Researchers are still mapping those effects. Ashkenazi Jewish, the population that changed modern medicine. Most genetic populations are hard to study. This one isn't, and that precision has directly saved lives. Around 600 to 800 years ago, Ashkenazi Jewish communities went through a dramatic reduction in population size before expanding rapidly. A large future population descended from a small founding group. That compression created a consistency in the DNA that's scientifically precise, like a map with unusually clear detail. People with Ashkenazi ancestry benefit from some of the most developed DNA-based health screening available for any population. Risks identified earlier, problems caught before they develop. There are also documented patterns suggesting certain traits, specifically around how the brain processes information, spread faster than chance alone explains. The leading theory? For centuries, this community placed enormous cultural value on literacy and deep thinking. That environment may have made sharper mental processing consistently more advantageous over generations. The trade-off? The same compression that made Ashkenazi DNA so precise also concentrated certain inherited conditions. Several specific diseases appear more frequently here than in the general population. No advantage comes without a cost. Basque, the only people in Europe who didn't change. Every major wave of people crossing Europe over 10,000 years brought new DNA. The Basque are the only group that mostly didn't absorb any of it. The Basque of northern Spain and southern France are the most genetically isolated population in Western Europe. Their language shares no known roots with any other living language on Earth. That's how separate they stayed. More than half carry blood type O, the highest in Europe. Around 30 to 35% have a blood type where a specific protein is absent from their red blood cells, double the global average. Not direct health advantages, signatures of a DNA line that stayed consistent while everything around it shifted. The real benefit is what isolation filtered out. Harmful DNA changes gradually decline when they reduce survival. Over thousands of years, many faded from the Basque gene pool, leaving fewer inherited conditions than neighboring populations. The trade-off? That distinctive blood type caused dangerous pregnancy complications throughout history. When a mother's blood type differs from her baby's, her immune system can treat the baby as a threat. Before a simple injection was developed, it likely caused significantly higher rates of pregnancy loss. Europe kept changing. The Basque kept their original blueprint. Finland, the country that accidentally became a medical laboratory. Finland gave medical researchers something they couldn't find anywhere else, not because the Finns planned it, but because of what happened to their ancestors. Most of Europe descends from two waves of people, early hunter-gatherers, then farmers from Turkey. Finnish people didn't follow that path. A larger portion of their ancestry traces back to ancient Siberian populations who moved in from the east. Same continent, completely different route. Because of that distinct origin and a severe reduction in population size, certain DNA changes now exist in Finland at concentrations found nowhere else on Earth. That sounds like a limitation. It became a scientific gold mine. When a DNA change is rare everywhere else, but concentrated in one population, it's dramatically easier to study what it does in the body. Finland became one of the most important research populations in genetics history, helping identify causes of dozens of conditions nearly impossible to isolate elsewhere. The trade-off? Limited DNA variety means the immune system can lack defenses against threats this population never encountered. Some inherited conditions appear at higher rates here than elsewhere. A closed door became a window for the rest of humanity. Mixed European, the body built for everything. Most Americans with European ancestry don't come from just one place. German and Irish, Italian and Polish, Greek and Scandinavian. Biologically, that combination is an advantage. When your parents come from different ancestral backgrounds, your DNA is more likely to carry two different versions of the same gene. If one version carries a health risk, the other often offsets it. The backup runs before anything goes wrong. There's also a historical parallel worth knowing. The Balkans, Serbia, Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania sat at the crossroads of Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia for 10,000 years. Every major migration passed through. The result was one of the broadest immune profiles on the continent, not despite the mixing, because of it. Mixed European ancestry works the same way. Extra iron absorption from Celtic ancestry, the virus-blocking mutation from Germanic ancestry, heart-protective adaptation from Mediterranean ancestry, real biological tools running together in one body, and the health risks that build up inside isolated populations get diluted. Harmful DNA changes concentrated in Celtic, Finnish, Basque, or Ashkenazi populations are far less likely to pair up when ancestry draws from different sources. Northern Europeans learned to live without sunlight. Germanic populations survived repeated epidemics. Iberians outlasted the Ice Age. Celts extracted more from less. The Ashkenazi changed medicine. The Basque preserved what most of Europe lost. The Finns gave science a laboratory it couldn't find anywhere else. Mixed ancestry is what happens when those solutions stack in one person. No single European background is stronger than another. Each solved a different problem, in a different place, under different pressure. Evolution kept whatever worked. Turns out keeping a little of everything works very well.